Hello, Tammy, Tamra. How do we say your name?
Tammy.
Hi, Tammy. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Aisha, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm also known as Happy Aisha as a mindset coach. But what's important to me today, and the reason I'm here, is I honed in on an amazing person who's sitting here right with me. To anyone who's watching in this universe, who I believe, in my humble opinion, has not just a great personality, because we did laugh a lot when we met in a networking group, but actually has a really powerful story that I believe should be heard. So, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell everyone, including myself, not just a little bit about yourself, and then we can go into your story?
Okay. Well, my name's Tammy. I have three grown children, a husband, and a pug. And I live in sunny Florida. Haven't always lived in Florida, but right now I live next to the Walt Disney World, about 45 minutes from there. And I came down there just because of any place in the country I needed to be by the water. It's my happy place.
There's lots of water. I thought there was crocodiles.
There are alligators, not crocodiles, but alligators.
Okay. Have you ever met one?
Actually, there's one right outside my house pretty much every day. He sleeps in a little embankment right next to my house.
Um. Okay. Silly question. Maybe it's not a silly question. Aren't you scared?
No, no, they pretty much, I mean, we've encountered them before when I'm walking my dog, and my dog, like I said, is a pug, so it would be a perfect Scooby snack for an alligator, but they kind of just stay away. If we walk outside, they'll stare at you, but they don't, I've never had one approach me. No, I
Okay.
wouldn't try to feed them a handful of cookies or anything, but
Do not feed the animals. So how
no.
far away have you like physically been away, like distance wise, from an alligator?
I've almost stepped on one. Yeah, I know. You're
I did not expect this as an introduction. I have to say, I didn't. Oh my goodness! You what?
Yeah, my dog and I almost stepped one. My dog went up on all fours, which is pretty hard to do because she's a 30-pound pug. But yeah, she was a little startled. The alligator was a little startled. And then they had babies in front of our house one time in a nest, and they were like this big. They were super cute. So it's fun.
Wow. Well, tell me, what else about you? What else is there about yourself that I should know?
um, Not much. I mean, I like enjoy reading, writing. I love just being me, just hanging out and enjoying life, honestly.
That sounds fantastic. And my goodness, who couldn't do with a bit more of that? Hey, I think enjoying life is the key thing that we could all really do with a lot of right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. So definitely. It was not always that way, though. I don't know if you want me to get into my story, but I can get into it real quick and
No, I would
we
love
can
to.
go.
Please, in your own pace. You don't have to rush it. And I'm just going to sit and listen. You
Okay.
did, just as a side note, you did mention you like writing, and I would like to come back to that a bit later. But
Oh,
definitely,
yes. I
please.
love to write, love to journal. Anytime I can get my hand on on a pen and a piece of paper, that's what I do.
Wow. Okay, so please launch in. Tell us your story.
Okay. I'm going to make it pretty brief because it's a long story. I have 54 years of living it. But I was unfortunately, both of my parents were alcoholics. My father was what I consider a functioning alcoholic. So he went to work every day. He got up. He didn't, physically abuse his children. He didn't do any of that. My mother, unfortunately, on the other hand, was just the opposite. She was what you picture as the epitome of an alcoholic, stumbling all over, showing up at school fairs and just completely blasted, embarrassing me, pulling me by the hair out of a restaurant or a store, all those things. So obviously it took a toll on me. Definitely took a toll on me. I went through, oh, I don't even know. I look back at the things and I go right to my school years because there is where I feel like I was the safest when I was in school. I remember sleeping on the desk one day, and my teachers all thought I was this horrible child and horrible, horrible. I slept, I was lazy, I didn't want to do anything. And I remember laying on a desk in about the eighth grade, and I'm like, wow, if just one of these teachers would say to me, Timmy, why do you sleep on the desk? And I could explain to them that when it got violent and vicious and ugly in my house, I used to go outside and go in under this drainage ditch under the street and sleep, because it was really the only safe place I had. So, yeah, it's just kind of crazy when I think back about it. I talk about it like it was absolutely nothing. And it's because I went through probably 25 years of a healing journey, a very serious healing journey that I'm still on, in just trying to overcome some of those things. I remember my mom, like I said, she was very violent. She used to do crazy stuff, burn cigarettes on us and burn cigarettes on my father. And, I look back now and I know it wasn't her fault, and she had a disease and everything else. But I was like, wow, this doesn't just seem right. I was basically a parent to both of my parents at probably 8 years old.
Wow.
I can remember shopping, my brother taking me and dropping me off at the grocery store, me doing the shopping, and so that when my parents came home, there'd be food there. I can remember ironing my dad's clothes when I was 8 years old, because I knew they would both fall asleep by 10. It was just, it wasn't fun. I mean, to say the least, it wasn't fun. So I did everything I was supposed to do, grew up, had children, 2.3. Well, I have three now, 3.1, I guess, with a dog, or 3.3. But it definitely takes a toll, and it so took a toll on me. And my whole existence, I kept thinking, okay, when I'm a parent, that's not how I'm going to do my kids. My
Right.
ultimate goal was to be everything to my children that my parents were not. And in that, I didn't learn boundaries. I didn't understand unconditional love. I didn't understand really what a household's supposed to look like. So I, became a teacher. I love teaching the children, love getting close to them, and realized how many, many, many children were in the exact same situation I was in as a child. Go ahead.
How do you know, or how did you know that they were in the exact same situation?
I could see physical marks. I could see, just the lack of eye contact, the sadness. I remember one time in first grade, I touched this little girl's shoulder, and she literally wet herself in front of me. And I was like, wow, she's going through some kind of abuse. So I used to set up exercises to establish trust with them and get them to come to me. And sure enough, it ended up both her parents were alcoholics. Her uncle was sexually abusing her for months. He ended up, because she came to me, we could get him in prison. He ended up going to prison for 5 years. But it's just there was just a sadness. They didn't really know how to play with friends. They really didn't even know how to play. I was teaching first grade, and you would get going with some rambunctious activity, and it was like they would freeze, like just afraid of their own shadows, really.
What age is first grade?
I'm sorry?
What age is first grade?
First grade would be about 7, 6 or 7.
Okay, so the exact age you said you kind of had to pretty much grow up and be an adult.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. So you talked about trying to provide an environment of trust as a teacher to these children, or presumably when you were young at that age, could you see other kids that you could tell it was going on around with as well?
Yeah, I don't know how I had a knack for seeing it. I guess because it's like they portrayed kind of how I felt as a child, but I could feel, it's like I could feel it, and it really broke my heart. But I would go into, I was telling someone the other day, I used to have this activity called the magic mailbox. And so it was a mailbox, and I told anybody, you can have anybody write a question and we can put it in the magic mailbox. And I would actually feed the questions into the magic mailbox that I knew they needed the answers to.
Very skilled.
So yeah, I know it worked. That was 2004. I had this one little girl in first grade, and all year I fed that magic mailbox directed at her and anybody else that needed it. But she actually wrote me a letter in 2017. So she would have been 13. She would have been almost 20. And she was like, Ms. V, because they called me Mrs. V then. She's like, I just want to thank you for the magic mailbox. She's like, it's made such a huge difference in my life. And she's like, I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for the magic mailbox. And I literally did that activity all the way up through high school kids when I substituted, because Alcoholism and drug addiction is something that kids are very ashamed of. They don't want to go to they don't want to go to anybody because they just don't feel they get the support, or, you know, God forbid somebody had gone to my parents. If I had said, hey, my parents are drunk and beating me up on a regular basis, I would, it would have been twice as bad when I had gotten home. So, you know, the old adage when you're dealing with addiction is don't tell, don't trust, don't show, don't talk. I mean, it's just ultimate silence. And so my magic mailbox was a way of getting them to open up and to just trust someone.
That's just brilliant. I know when my mum wasn't well when I was at school, the school was aware of it because they asked my father to be a governor, and he said, I'm afraid I can't because I don't really have the time, excuse me, because my wife isn't well. And so they didn't kind of home in and ask us questions explicitly, but they were aware of it. So we could sense that. And I think listening to you, as obviously as you've become older, you've taken what your experience was and you've started to create tools and ways for children to cope with it as when you were a teacher. And that's just providing them then with the safe environment and a means or an outlet that perhaps you didn't have when you were at school, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I really did anything I could to make them feel safe, to make them open up, to make them understand that they're not alone, that it's not just them. Right now, they say that there's over 26 million children out there that have addicted parents, and that's a lot. That's 1 in 4 in every classroom. So 25% of the children in the classroom are going through all of that. And if they all knew that, they would definitely establish some bonds and be able to feel comfortable reaching out because they wouldn't feel like such outcasts. And that's really my goal.
Wow, that's so powerful. And what a goal, what a mission, because really 25%, if you imagine so much shame is hanging around a young generation of children, they certainly need people like you around, and people like you probably, I'm sure, can help other people to learn in their schools how to provide something similar. Do you have a mechanism or some sort of activity or project that you've got going that you're trying to help share what you
Actually,
do?
yeah, actually, it's funny you say that because I do have my first book called Surviving Alcoholic Parents, and I do have another book coming out probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. It's in the formatting process right now, so I just need to put some final touches on it. But it's directed directly at the educators and anybody in groups that are dealing with children. And so, and basically the name of it is Helping Children of Alcoholics and Other At-Risk Students. And then it's how to identify and empower students in the classroom. So it's really tactics. It's what, you know, educators should know, what to look for, how, you know, the do's and don'ts of what to say stands for, you know, teach and educate about alcoholism, help them find resources, reestablish a positive sense of identity, identify triggers, you know, the victor versus victim mentality, and the empower and encourage method. So it's ways that they could do all of those things. It will come with accompanying, you know, activity guides and stuff like that. So it should be, I'm hoping that I can get it out to a lot of people that way.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think it matters where in the world you live. This issue is relevant. And I'd say even, I had the feeling like even more so today than perhaps when I was younger. Maybe I'm just more aware of it as an adult, that people around me talk about what it was like when they grew up, but they would never have said a word back then. And there you are as an adult trying to help people because the problem is still going on. It's still very, very relevant. They need that sort of thing that you're writing with that book, with the tools, the resources, the tips, the strategies, the tactics on what to do. That's what's missing, because back then people didn't talk, children didn't talk, parents didn't talk. And there's so much, I mean, we know about support out there for organizations as adults, but when it comes to children, you know, literally you have to say, let's start with my school, and then how do I educate other people who are working in schools so that the educational sector can deal with these difficult, sensitive topics, because they are.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And that's my, you know, and it goes past, unfortunately, it is a touchy subject, so it has to be breached sensitively. I mean, you figure if one in however many adults are alcoholics or addicted parents, that's a lot of teachers as well. So it is a sensitive subject, and I believe that's why it's not really talked about. I mean, they call it Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and Gamblers Anonymous. Everything is supposed to be anonymous, where I feel like, wow, why can't they just let it not be shameful? I mean, it's a disease. You wouldn't say Cancer Anonymous or Diabetes Anonymous, and it's like people just there needs to be more people out there that are willing to shout, hey, it just happens. It is. Let's get you help. Let's get your kids help. Let's get everybody involved help. I mean, it takes a village for sure.
I hear you. I live in Germany, and I'm very much aware of parents who've got children who are told at school, contact if any, these are really, really, really small kids who are saying, if my teacher says, if something happens to me, I should ring this number, and then they recite the number. And the parents are thinking, gosh, I don't want the social services on me, because if I just do one step wrong, I'm going to have that. So what I quite like about your approach is you're actually trying to train people who are already in the educational sector, so that then what they then teach or talk about to their students and the children in the class won't feel like they're being taken away from their parents necessarily. It's tools to help them deal with it first. And then if something has to happen after that, I feel like it's a softer approach to having the services turn up and say, right there, take them away. Maybe that will happen later, but by having this, through the book, the second book that you're writing, by having that available to people in the educational sector, they can then pick out the relevant parts and make it applicable to the children in the class that they're teaching. It's a different approach.
Right.
Like that.
It is a little different. And it's also a way, I'm hoping, of just, instead of teachers assuming that all children are bad or lazy or just not good, assume that they're all good, and then some of them are just hurting and lost and struggling. And I always gave every single child the benefit of the doubt, because you don't know what it's like at their home. You don't know why they act the way they do, or why they can't look you in the face. I mean, when my children didn't get eye contact when they were little, I would be like, you look directly in their eyes, that's a sign of respect. Some children are afraid to do that, so it's, if educators really gave kids the benefit of the doubt and assumed and just thought, just knew that they were good inside, that they're just hurting, then my hope is that they will encourage those children to know that they are good inside, and to help them love themselves, and that's really what's going to make them grow up to be the best people they can be. I mean, every child deserves to be happy. And in turn, you're happy, Aisha. Every adult deserves to be happy. But if you don't start with that foundation of love and being loved and compassion, it's like you're fighting an uphill battle.
Oh, hurrah, here. I love it. I believe, I 100% believe what you're saying is true. It's not just words with hot air. Even if you've had something difficult happen in the past, you can develop ways and means to cope with that. You've clearly done that, and you've made it part of your mission to help do that going forward. And you've not just written a book, but it's got, useful tips in it. So that leads me to, how are people getting the message out there that you've got something available? Apart from you've got a book coming out, are you actively going into schools? Are you talking to people in the communities? What are you doing, Tammy? What are you doing? I want to know that.
Right now, I have my book on Amazon, and
Okay.
I am willing, I'm going into schools. I've actually doing a project in this Eastern Florida here, and it's a book tour, I guess you could call it. And it's called Teens Thriving Now 2023 book tour. And we're going to try to hit 90 bookstores in 60 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, builds a little traction. I would love, I'm going out to a couple or at least one summer camp this summer, and working with counselors to try to help out, help them teach how to identify. But really, it's just any way. I do one-on-one coaching for children and adults, who, a lot of times if the parents are addicts or alcoholics, and then the children are, most likely those alcoholics and addicts also have parents that were or are, so I can counsel them as well, which is nice.
Wow. So you're a really busy woman.
Yes, but I
Busy
love it.
woman, right? Yeah, look at you smiling. I love how I mean, I just see this, I just see you oozing with a passion and a really important mission. And you are, with each of the building blocks and steps that you're taking, I see success with that, with helping children regardless of if, well, whether they're at school or if they're with a counsellor somewhere, because some people aren't comfortable at school. They prefer to talk in other environments with the community. You're going on a book tour. So you're really, really busy. And that's just brilliant. Is there anything that I could do to help you get the message out there?
Just help me let people know. Anytime you run across someone, send them my way, or send them to the book, or even just send them to whatever resources are available where you're near. Just, share the message that they're not alone, that
Okay.
there's help out there.
Are you, last question, because I live in Germany, are you having this book translated into different languages?
I am planning, especially when the second one comes out, to translate both of them into different languages. Yes.
Brilliant.
That is a plan.
Awesome. You're totally on top of it. I love it. I love a woman who's like taking action and not just, you're not all words and no action. You're all action and words. I love it. Thank you so much for letting us know what you do. I really appreciate you taking your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome. You're most welcome. I'm sure that we'll connect again because I think both of us have this mission to try to make the world a happier place. I certainly do, Aisha, and you certainly do, as Tammy. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to put this onto my YouTube channel, and then I'll put the details or the information you provide me about your book so that anyone who goes to watch this can also see it on social media in terms of where they can get it. Maybe there's a link you can provide and the title and roughly kind of where you're going on tour, because I'm sure people watching this, they can then home in and find you, meet you in person, maybe. Who's a better person to talk to than someone who's had a lived experience and is doing something positive with it? Give me a virtual high five.
Oh, back here.
I got it.
You got it.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.